Donatelli. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, the #1 romance novel talk show on YouTube. In today's episode, I chatted with author Allison Martine about her novel DIBS, which is one of my favorite rom-coms of 2021. Allison also discussed the other romance novels in her Bourbon Books series, Since September and Move On Melinda. And Allison played a round of calling dibs. Enjoy, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hi, Allison. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Liz. I appreciate it.
It is a pleasure. So you are the author of the Bourbon Books romance series. Why bourbon? Is it the sexiest of all liquors?
Yes, it is. I actually laugh because when I wrote them, I had never even tried bourbon. You'd think I should have picked something that I knew I liked. And then I realized, oh crap, I'm kind of stuck with this now. What if it's terrible? Turns out I like it. There's some I like more than others. I'm a big Elijah Craig fan, Angel's Envy. This is an old fashioned from Trader Joe's of all things, but I'm now a day drinker. So no, just for interviews because it's part of the branding and it calms my nerves. And this is pretty tasty.
So what inspired you to make bourbon kind of the hook of your series?
So it really didn't start as the hook. I had it in my head that bourbon was this kind of sexy, sophisticated drink. I tried to think, what would Adam drink? And Adam is the main love interest in the first two books, actually. And my main character, the female, she hasn't tried bourbon. So that actually worked for me because neither had I. So we kind of tried that together. But I just thought, okay, it's something that maybe a man would drink. It's not a girly, fruity drink. It's not a rum and coke. It's not, Sex on the Beach or anything silly or fruffy and all that kind of stuff. So I figured bourbon works. And I didn't know, okay, do these need a series name? Because when I wrote the first book, I didn't know there would be a second book. And then when I wrote a second book, we said, all right, well, we need to have some kind of catch title for all of these. The bourbon books, I hoped conveyed a bit of sophistication, a bit of elegance. I know some people have looked at the cover and gone, is it like 50 Shades? And I'm going, no, why would you get that from this cover? But I wanted something that maybe was a little different than a lot of the traditional romance covers. There's nobody shirtless on there. Like whenever you are trying to get your book out there, there's always this balance between fitting genre standards and expectations and standing out from the crowd. You kind of want to do both without being something so different that people go, I don't even know what to think of that. And you also want to make sure that they can see yours and instantly recognize this is what it is. So I tried with the covers of these to make it consistent. Each one features a different alcohol. So DIBS has bourbon, Since September has champagne, and Move On Melinda has tequila.
Yes. No, I really dig that. I like that there's like an air of mystery to your book covers. I was so intrigued and I was like, oh, this could be anything. I really loved DIBS, which is book 1 in the Bourbon Books series. It is ridiculously funny, which I hadn't expected this level of humor. And it is a delicious, sensual, slow burn, which I usually don't go in for. But man, this was steamy without even them doing anything. Like it was so well done.
So DIBS it's one of those stories that it's a romance between two people who are just getting to know each other, but are also kind of coming past their own backstories and have their own baggage. It's really about the story of Olivia, who is a divorced woman who has it in her head that she's really not worth it to guys. So she's not really looking for that right now. She's just kind of going to put her head down, focus on work. And she goes on this training trip for work, doesn't realize that she's not going to be the only one going from her own work to this trip, and ends up next to, in the plane, this very handsome man. She's just all elbows and awkwardness while she's trying to have a conversation with him, when she figures out, oh dear, I'm going to be with this guy for the next 2 weeks. I don't think I can handle that. I don't think I can handle paying attention and having this guy next to me, and he's talking to me. I wish he'd stop talking to me. I don't want him to stop talking to me, but I kind of want him to stop talking to me.
So calling dibs Dibs is the title, and calling dibs happens in the novel. And you use that as a way into exploring the off limits trope. Like, how did that happen?
I think I've been to too many camps growing up where someone meets someone else and someone else goes, oh, he's looking at me. I don't think we ever said the words dibs, but it was always very clear. If someone had their eye on someone else, you were not allowed to approach them. You were not allowed to be going over there and flirt with them. You stayed clear until it was really evident that neither party wanted this to happen. And then, okay, you can move on. But I went to way too many camps to not have the dance where you're sitting there going, well, I can't go ask him to dance, or I don't want him to go over here, so I'm going to look over here because my friend likes him and I'm not allowed to like him too, because only one person's allowed to like anyone else at any given time. And I don't know who came up with these rules. And I did like playing with the idea that it's an adult doing this because it's very juvenile. And Laurie Sunquist is very juvenile. She's very young. And that was also kind of reflective for my experience, where most people who were going to this training were straight out of college. And I had already gone through law school, had worked a little bit, and then came to this. And I felt like I was just a chaperone, just way too old to be with these kids who were having way too much fun, who maybe had never been on an airplane before, things like that. So I kind of got into that with the idea of having, well, Laurie's going to call dibs on this guy who has zero interest in her, but doesn't matter to her because she's like mine.
The sequel, Since September, continues Olivia and Adam's love story. Are you able to share anything about that, or would that be too spoilerish?
I don't think it's too spoilerish, because I feel like most people know with romances, you're supposed to either have a happy for now or happily ever after. So their story doesn't end with dibs. It just gets to the end of that particular part of the two of them coming together. So Since September picks up where dibs leaves off and goes from there. So it really focuses on their relationship moving forward and what other people think of their relationship, and really explores the themes of other people having input into grown adults' lives and how they move forward. I think that there are scenes in Since September that are funnier than anything in Dibs, partially because there are more established relationship dynamics. So we get to see more of, so one of the characters that's barely touched on in Dibs, there are two characters, Melinda and Jamie, who are Olivia's co-workers back home. They're barely in Dibs because it doesn't take place at her home council. So when we get to Since September, they kind of step into the shoes more of her confidants, and they're in scenes. So some of my favorite scenes to write are 3 ways or even 4 ways with these different characters all going at each other the way women do. And I love writing relationships. I love writing male-female relationships, but I also really enjoy writing female friendships. So having that authentic voice to say, this is how women talk to each other. And sometimes it's authentically catty. Sometimes it's kind of that frenemy feel. So that's kind of where that explores.
The 3rd book in the series, recently released earlier this year, Move On, Melinda. As you mentioned, Melinda is Olivia's friend. So what happens to Melinda? Like, what tropes do you incorporate into Melinda's love story?
I don't want to spoil too much of Since September, but Melinda is a big character in there. And the things that happen in Move On, Melinda, we are picking up right after Since September. So there's some things that kind of happen near the end, and Melinda needs to learn to move on with her life instead of necessarily being involved in other people's lives. And writing Move On, Melinda was really fun, but it was also a challenge, because if you read any of the reviews for it, almost everyone's like, I hated Melinda. And then they love her. So I liked having a character that maybe wasn't the most endearing to the audience to start. Olivia is, most people say she's pretty relatable. She's supposed to be kind of an every person. She's not super extreme in any regard. She's just an average person who has had her heart broken and is learning to love again. Melinda is not. Melinda is a little bit more sharp, a little bit more prickly. And it made her really fun to write, but also gave a lot more room for growth. Because if you already start with a perfect character, if you got your little Mary Sue running around, that's not really fun. And I'm not saying Olivia was perfect, because she certainly wasn't, but there was more to do. And then even exploring things that happened in September in Move On, Melinda writing the series this way has let me kind of always look back on what happened before and get other people's takes on events, which is really fun for me to get to do. Someone gave me, I want to say it was Julie Garwood's Castles. I read that. I think I was slightly traumatized by that. I was not ready for that at like 13 or 14. And then I moved more into like the paranormal romance. So things like True Blood or Dead Until Dark. Those are sort of romance, but they're a subgenre of romance. And I think I read more of that than any kind of traditional romance. And I'm not going to blame Julie Garwood. It wasn't the kind of story I really got into.
So I'm going to throw some stuff at you, and you can simply respond with DIBS. The passenger seat next to James Corden in Carpool Karaoke.
No. He would probably pick something that I don't know. I just want to be doing Sondheim the whole time, and he'd probably pull something more recent, and I'd go, I have only gotten one of the songs from Hamilton memorized. Sorry.
The last slice of sausage and mushroom pizza.
Yummy.
No dip.
No. So pizza in our house is this thing where one of my children demands it every Friday. So I have to eat it whether I really want it or not. And if I have to have pizza, it's going to be Hawaiian. So.
Okay. Good to know. Okay. The corner piece of a German chocolate birthday cake.
Yeah, I'll call Debs on that, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to scrape off the coconut.
Okay.
And I love coconut, but I don't like it on German chocolate cake. Isn't that weird?
That's a little unusual. The bed closest to the door in a Holiday Inn hotel room.
I need the bathroom.
What do you mean you need you like a bed near the bathroom?
I do, because I'm always getting up like 17 times a night. So I don't want to be like going past whoever else is in there.
Well, what if the bed closest to the door is also closest to the bathroom? Then you would have to.
Then there's only one bed.
How's there only one bed?
I'm trying to think, like, if it's closest to the door. Okay, if it's the kind where the door is here and then the bathroom is closer to the door, and then there's a bed and then there's another bed. Okay, then I'll take it. Yeah.
Okay, we got lost in that DIBS scenario. Okay, the last one, because there was only so many DIBS I could come up with. Actually, do you remember the chocolate ice cream treat called DIBS? I don't know if they still have it.
Yes, they do. And it's funny because if you go and you type in DIBS on Amazon, sometimes they're right next to each other. So I'm like, package deal. Can you buy them together?
Oh my God. If you could have gotten some kind of sponsorship or tie-in.
Yeah, it's like Nestle.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
They're going to cooperate. I mean, really, it should come with a six-pack of, not a six-pack, but a big, nice bottle of bourbon just tied to it. But I think all the liquor laws in every state would say, no, you can't do that. That's illegal.
Yeah, no, I know. The last one. The front seat in a roller coaster that goes upside down and your feet down.
Yes, yeah.
Really?
I'll probably throw up afterwards. As I've gotten older, I have way worse like motion sickness. I could do that all the time when I was younger, but I know we tried to do a date night not that long ago and went on all those roller coasters, and I'm sitting there and my husband's got a funnel cake and I'm like, I hate you. I just hate you. Because I just wanted to throw up all over it.
Oh my God.
But I'd probably try it again anyway, just to see. And if it's front row, yeah, I'll try that.
Really? And that was the quickest DIBS that you called out of all the things. Well, Allison, it has been such a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you for making time to visit me at Reader Seeks Romance.
Thank you. It's been so nice having the time to talk about the books and getting to talk to you and just drink our bourbon.
Just, you know what? I should have gotten my beer so we could have done a cheers. Oh, okay.
Nice.
Okay. Cheers.